So
okay, Rachel. I won't be calling you Caban.
Oh, Lord. I've never been called Ryan. Like, I've heard a lot of things.
I didn't know what was happening. I was in a church.
Like, is she okay?
Heimlich. No, we're excited. Would you guys just go ahead and help us welcome today's guest host, Rachel Caban, to A New Thing Live and to our first episode of Don't Be This Girl.
Oh, wait, this is a new episode? Of
We're launching our podcast in January.
Oh, I didn't know. Why did I know that?
She didn't get the memo.
I didn't catch that.
I didn't catch that until right now. I just remembered.
Okay.
Yeah.
She does this all the time.
Well, I'm honored. We're to be the guest host today.
Well, you know about them.
Okay, I'm not sure what's happening anymore.
Bring them back. And let's
bring it back. Okay. All right, Rachel. We're turning it over to you. It's all you.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi. Let's see how Cyndi sits in this chair. So I'm really, really honored. So I want to just say thank you, thank both of you for just having me here. Yes. It's really an honor. And I think when I accidentally suggested it, I was nervous. I was joking. But I think it's such a blessing because this is an opportunity for you to sit in the seat. It's already so vulnerable. And we want to hear your process. We want to hear the behind the scenes of what it's like to do this kind of endeavor, because I think not only is it for us to know a little more about you guys, but also to encourage others who are out there and say, hey, I have a story to tell.
Sure.
I have things I want to do. And so I really hope that you guys get a lot out of this because I know these women are wells of wisdom.
Oh, thank you.
So let's jump into this.
From one well of wisdom to the other, because you have also written a book.
Okay, it's not about me right now.
I know,
Cyndi.
but I'm just letting it be known.
Little pinkies down. Right now, it's about you.
Okay.
So before I jump into the book,
yes,
I want to know a little bit more about you girls.
Okay.
So what is it that you guys do? What do your day-to-days look like? What do you do for a living, aside from being an amazing author? You want to start with that? We can start with Ivette.
Well, I guess let me get the important things out of the way first. Wife, mother, grandmother.
Wait, grandmother?
Yeah.
What? Yes.
Grandmother.
Yes. If you didn't see that little picture, the little beauty is right in front of that big group picture.
Yeah.
She was our little model that night with our book. It was so sweet. But yeah, so all of those things. There she is. I'm holding her, my little chunky monkey.
Oh, cute.
Yes, so cute. But yeah, so I am a health coach. I help people, hopefully get off of medications, learn a new lifestyle really of how to improve their life, their health for longevity, not just diet. So that's kind of my heart and my passion is to help people with that. I also have a nonprofit that I just launched. Gosh, I want to say last year. I don't even know. It's all kind of a blur right now. But yeah, so From a Friend is the nonprofit that we launched. And so I was super excited about that. And thank you, Rachel, because you have been a well of wisdom for me on that.
See?
So yeah, so you're not getting out to another. Yes.
Until we rise.
Okay, we're back. Yes. Tell us now. You have a day job.
Yes. So I work part-time for a company in Laguna Beach. Yeah. We gotta give credit where credit
That's right.
due.
That's right.
I love you girls.
So so I work part-time job, my health coaching thing. It doesn't take a lot of work. So I'm like, I'm bored. I need to go out and do some things. And I'm a busy person. I like to do a lot of things. So there's that. And then I watch my little grandbaby 2 days a week. And that's awesome. That kind of tops everything for me. That's kind of my biggest thing.
You are a go-getter. I am so impressed by that because even today as we were preparing, she's like, it's okay. I can sleep in tomorrow. I'll get up at 6. And I was like, excuse me?
Yeah.
And I think your normal is 4:30.
4:30,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. And so those are the things. You're just amazing. So how about you, Cyndi? Tell us a little bit more about your day-to-day. We know you do a new thing live. What does Cyndi do?
Well, day-to-day fun. I get to work for a ministry called, it was Jesus Disciple through Jerry German Ministries, but now it's called Jesus Way. And it's, kind of evolving. So I'm just having to just kind of remind myself what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I don't want to call it a 9 to 5, but that's my full time.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to lead the ministry of the stories and testimonies. And I love that. I get to hear firsthand, like the things that God is doing in people's lives. And it is such a blessing. I love it. Like I sit and we film and I hear, even just on these phone calls where you're just doing this preliminary interview. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Because the Lord is just so good.
Yeah.
He's so good. And so that's what I get to do for work. And I love that. And then, of course, I'm not married, not a grandma, and I'm not a wife. And all my family pretty much live out of the state. So I have a lot of, I guess you would call it free time that I use to run, my magazine. I have 2 fashion magazines.
You do.
And of course, this podcast. And then writing the book. I feel like there's something that I'm missing, though. I can't remember what it is. A new thing. And then She Is Single, She Is Strong.
Yes. Yes.
So we're in the middle of post-production on a documentary film that we have been working on. So we're hoping to release that next. So all kinds of media and ministry combined. That's who I am. And that's
what I love about your ministry. And thank you for sharing that. What I love about Cyndi's ministry is that she is so about lifting up and elevating the voices and the stories of other people. And I think it's so powerful. I think at our, both of you, like it's about others, and I think last night at our event, it's our event.
Oh, yes. Yes. This was our event.
At our event, Taylor, the host last night, mentioned how we overcome by the word of our testimony and by the blood of the Lamb. You know what I mean? And I think that brings us to the book, right?
Yeah.
Like you do this, you capture the stories, and that kind of thing builds your faith. I'm sure being a coach, you're sitting there, you're seeing people find their victory. That builds your faith.
Yeah.
And so that is what this book is going to do for so many people.
Amen.
And so this book, would you tell us a little bit about how you came about, how to structure it, the creative process of like even coming up with the idea for it? Yeah.
So
it's called Don't Be This Girl.
Don't be this girl.
And if it has a little bit of an attitude.
Don't be this girl.
Don't be this girl.
It has a little bit of an attitude.
Yeah, put the neck in it.
But with a little grace.
This girl.
With a little grace, because we've all been that girl.
Oh yes.
So tell us, how did you get to this title, the theme, all the ideas?
The title was really dropped to me by the Lord, and at the time, I felt like it was "Don't Be That Girl" is what I had written down, and He gave me really the whole storyboard of everything. I knew that it would be. I love rom-com. Romantic comedies, and I just knew that it was supposed to be based on different characters in different rom-coms that I love. So I had several different romantic comedy titles, and I didn't know what. As I started praying about it, there was this urgency that I felt like the book needs to happen now. And there are other books that I have written down that I know I need to work on, but that was one that I knew that I needed to do. And as I started praying, he told me I needed to invite somebody to partner with me. And years ago, it would have been like, oh no, you gave me this idea. But that had happened years ago. And with a song. And he downloaded this song to me 2 nights in a row. And I didn't have all the words for the verses. And I said, well, how do I? He said, partnership. And I go, oh no, you gave me the song. Now that was that was at least 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. So I learned back then that if he's saying I need to invite somebody, I need to invite somebody in.
It's exciting.
Yeah. And 2 are better than 1. We didn't talk so much about that yesterday. We talked a little bit about some of the challenges, but 2 are better than 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
We strengthen each other. And so when he highlighted Ivette to me to pull her in, I was like, oh, I hope she says yes, because we already had a wonderful relationship. We'd worked together. We've been colleagues. We've done creative things together. We've done ministry together and side by side in a lot of other things. So in a way, it was just like, really, that's so much fun. And at the same time, it made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. And so Ivette, like, why did you say yes?
Oh my gosh, it's Cyndi.
Yeah. But to this title specifically, because if it had been something like, I don't know, different, maybe you would have said no. So what was it about this theme and this like title and this storyline that really captured you?
Well, Cyndi actually was helping me with a book that I wanted to write.
Oh, really?
And so she was already mentoring me on kind of, the creative process and what to do and where to go and how to, like, let's do those timelines and all of that kind of thing. And that book, which will be coming out. maybe not soon, but it will be coming out.
Yes.
It kind of goes along with this because of my life and because of the experiences and all the things that I've had to live through. And, you know, I want to be able to show the people, you know, there's hurt in life and there's things that happen in your life, but there is always healing. If you seek out that healing. And so when she, you know, came to me with this, I was just like, oh yes, because that could be the whole premise of what I'm talking about and what I want to share in my book is like, not being that girl, not being this girl, because this girl got me in a lot of trouble and a lot of pain and a lot of hurt. And you just don't want to be this girl.
No.
So
good.
So it was so easy.
That's amazing. I think when I look back and I was skimming the books, my book is on the way. So if you haven't ordered yours, go to the website. Oh, yeah. Order yours. I can't wait to read it thoroughly.
Yeah.
But understanding how you guys have structured it a bit, it has like characters, like classic female characters from like movies and stories. And then you intertwine them with your own experiences in some way, right?
Yes.
And you're very vulnerable. But what I also love, there's a music playlist in here so that you can have some vibes in here to kind of take you to the moment, to experience it with you all. And it also has some places where girls can, or whoever, doesn't have to be girls, whoever would like to reflect and journal and do all of that. So what that tells me is that it's like a very inward process. And in order to expect that from other people, you guys had to go in. So I understand that some of the stories that you shared, I mean, it's one thing to write about other people and all the cool characters that we'll connect to. Right? So I'll let you have you.
Like, don't be this girl, don't be that girl. Don't do this.
I mean, and I think one of the references like from Sex and the City, and I had a phase. I had a phase. And
what was the phase?
Just phase looking at all the whole
phase.
series.
Gotcha.
And I was like a little bit of all of them sometimes. And I'm like, oh. So I love that you guys chose that way to go about it. But it's something different to tell your story. Yeah. Right? And you guys got nitty gritty with your stories. Yeah.
We got deep.
Maybe you can tell us one of your stories and how you found the courage to share it.
Well, honestly, I had been looking into the whole book writing thing. And so my pastor at Influence, Tammy Hotzenpeller, she had done a book in a little, kind of like a little workbook thing with us. And it was called Untold Stories. And it's a great little workbook that shows you how to write your story. And I thought it was going to be in, you know, to the book.
Look how God is, how he's already setting you up.
Yeah. And it wasn't, it was like something for me to leave for my legacy, something for me to leave for my son. I only have one. So my one and only, for me to leave him and write down all of these things that normally you're not going to think about writing. You know, there's some things you don't want to write about, but she, you know, in this workshop, she would take us through there and she would help us pull it out and write it down. And so I gave him that book. I think it was on Father's Day as he was becoming a father.
Oh, Ivette.
So he probably has not read it. So I will just say this right now, boy, you need to read that book. Okay. Because then when you say, I don't tell you things, all the secrets are in that book. Okay.
You better read it.
But I think that's what really helped me. It was kind of like the preface of being able to share the things more openly and not feel so, you know, not vulnerable, but I wanted to share it at that point because it was like, no, this is going to help somebody. This might touch somebody. And then they're going to be like, okay, I'm not the only one.
Yes.
And it's like, no, girlfriend, you are not the only one.
You really aren't.
Yeah.
You know,
a lot of times we feel like we are, but if you were to talk or close your eyes and do like, okay, everybody put your hand up if you've ever experienced this, we would be really shocked and surprised at all of the things that other women have experienced that we would have no idea. Because we don't talk about some of those things.
And I think that one of the things that you made me think about is I one time heard, I think it was Jackie Hill Perry, she was talking about courage and boldness and the importance of us. Sometimes we think we're just bold because of these other reasons and because we have like a message or whatever, but it's often compassion that draws us. And I think that's what I'm hearing from you, at least, Ivette. Like, I'm sure it's from you too. But like the thought, yes, you are. But the thought of the people on the other side, it's not just about this catharsis, like this cathartic experience for you, it is for you, I'm sure. But it's about who's on the other side and receiving it.
Yeah.
And so we're not going to get any sneak peeks about what your story, something that you revealed. No, we have to read it. We have to read it.
You're gonna have to
read it to get it. Okay, I love that. All we know is going to be deep.
It's going to be deep.
And so
it's going to make you cry.
I love that though, but it seems also that God he ordained it to prepare you for that. I love that.
Yeah, the timeline of it was crazy.
Yeah. And how about for you, Cyndi? Like, how did you find the courage to tell your story? And if you want to tell us, I mean, you don't have to be as tight-lipped as this one over here.
And some of y'all have already known, like I do share some things even on the show.
Yeah.
So I can share one of that. But I think for me, sharing my story has just been for years. It broke when I was in my late 20s, and I was a guest speaker for a youth retreat. And I was praying up for this retreat, and I was getting all of the download of the scriptures and what the heart of the message would be. The Lord said that this is when you experience it. I said, oh yes, I remember that, and this is what you're going to share. I was like, you want me to share that at the retreat? Because the kids didn't know this about me. Here I am in ministry. I was the worship leader, and he was wanting me to share about the time when I had a miscarriage and how he healed me from that, the brokenness and the pain where I just couldn't. There was I can't take one more day of this. I was like, I cannot take another day of this. The hurt, the pain is just I felt like the ugliest, deepest, darkest hole internally. I've never felt like that ever since. And he healed me from that. I just called out to him. I didn't know what to do. It's how do you heal from a broken heart? It was so broken. And I was so broken. I was so devastated. And I never even wanted kids. But I just came to the decision, I'm pregnant. So now I just need to go forward with this. Let's do this.
So you accepted it.
I accepted it. So when I lost the baby, I was already 4 months. It was very hard. And I'm going to be a little graphic, but I actually miscarried into the cup, the sample cup.
Oh, wow.
So I got to see my baby.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that today.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I'm a little emotional anyway.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
No.
So yeah, there was just a lot of heartache.
I'm sorry that you experienced that.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It was very hard. And so the Lord is the one that healed me from that. And it was I tried everything. And so when he said, you need to share this at this retreat, it was I don't want to do it. And I remember saying, is there any way this cup can pass from me? Sometimes we ask questions based on things that we know. So I was asking that question based on the fact that I had read the word. And I remember Jesus saying that. Yeah. And then when I realized what that question was tied to was nevertheless, not your will, but mine be done.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to do it. It doesn't matter who's there. It doesn't matter who's there. If they're going to judge me, I have to tell my story to these kids. And you would not believe the kids that came up, some which are in ministry, full-time ministry, some are pastors now, who came up for healing, for prayer that day. And that was it for me. I feel like after that, I was able to share just things that I've gone through.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty amazing. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think that when you first told me you were writing this book, and it was a while ago, and you were talking about how it was going to get a little messy. It's going to get a little nitty gritty, and it's not going to be what people would normally expect from you.
Right.
I think that's beautiful, because even hearing your prayer to say, God, take this away from me. There's an honesty with God. And I think that's what I'm really excited about this book, because God is inviting us into an honesty.
Yes.
Right? He's like, oh, it hurts. Tell me how much it hurts. Because if you go back to the word, I'm always going to guide you back.
That's good.
And I love that, because sometimes we can overly sanitize our experiences in the fear, right? And I think by going into characters that were so well thought out in Hollywood, right? Then we're able to say, oh, well, because a lot of us relate to these characters.
Oh, yeah. And we want to be them.
Yeah. Either we want to be them, or we're I'll never be that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're still them. So
I've
said so many times, what is she doing? I'll never do that. And then 2 months later,
you're doing it.
A man telling me something. Oh, he said this to me.
Yeah,
that was chapter 5.
Okay, so actually, before you get into chapter 5, I love that. Last night, both of you guys shared at least one of the characters that you most identified with.
Yes.
You want to tell us one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for me,
is it chapter 5?
I'm not sure what chapter it is.
Jules. That's Jules. No, you're not.
No,
Jules.
I'm not Jules.
Oh.
I love that movie. I love this movie, and it was so hard to write this book with this woman because she was like, oh, "No,
I did
Jules.
not like My Best Friend
She
Wedding.
hated Jules, and I was like, "I love this movie."
Oh yeah.
I could not stand her in that movie.
It's so hard, but then when you look at it, you're like, "Oh yeah." Okay.
She was such a jerk. Come on, let's be real.
Yeah.
So deceptive and manipulative and ugh. You're not his best friend. Sorry.
Waking up the neighbors.
We're good. We're in a studio. We're good.
For me, it was Dorothy Boyd from Jerry Maguire.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I look at her now and I'm just like, oh, this pitiful being. What are you doing? Like, he's with someone else. He's crazy.
But doesn't Renee Zellweger have that face?
She's
for
adorable.
Oh, yeah. She's like,
she's adorable. I met her in real life, actually, and under the worst circumstances ever. I was dressed up like in a little elf costume because I was working at the Grove for the photo booth. And here she comes, so cute, like very pulled together, but under. Does that make any sense?
Uh-huh.
I'm like, you are just the cutest thing. And I'm like, oh, that's Renee Zellweger. And she's like, well, you're pretty cute yourself.
Oh.
I love it.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. But anyway.
Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead.
Dorothy Boyd.
Yes. So anyway, it was Dorothy Boyd for me because she was that single mom and she was looking for somebody to basically fix everything for her.
Yeah.
And it was so sad, but that's exactly where I was.
Mm-hmm.
And, I thought about this after I shared last night because I was like, okay, I kind of did have someone. I became a single mom literally 2 months after I had my son. His biological father decided, I don't want any part of this, and we were just done.
And you weren't married?
No, I never got married.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, well, bye. I'm better off on my own, whatever. And a year and a half later, I re-met a friend of mine that I'd known since I was 18. And we started dating and he became dad instantly. But that relationship is also in this book and is another chapter where it didn't work out. And yet, we were still in this, horrible relationship for a long time because we wanted to do it for him.
Yeah.
And, but so that was the big one for me is Dorothy Boyd, always looking for somebody, that you complete me thing was good for her. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I was like a kid watching that movie.
Shut
and
up,
I
you
wanted
had
that
me at
too.
hello.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
Like, are you
That's all it
kidding?
takes?
No.
Is hello?
No.
It's so romanticized.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
It is. And that's exactly how I saw it. When I first saw that movie, I was just like, oh, Tom Cruise is just the best person on the earth. And how lucky she is to have this guy. And now I look at it and I'm just like, no, girl, get in the van. Go away from him because this is not how you propose to someone.
Yes.
It was just pitiful. So yeah.
Because
For me as a
sharing
single
that.
mom, it was that one for me because that was something that, for years and years. Yeah.
Awesome. So good.
And Cyndi, how about for you?
It's so funny because we think about it after. Oh,
I should have said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as I went back to the characters, I actually feel like there are many more that I relate with. But the ones that I shared yesterday actually it was Bridget Jones, because she would just drink just to mask the pain.
Yeah.
And been there, done that. And so it was Bridget Jones, and she would also kind of stick her foot in her mouth and just, the things just like, oh, it's so painful to watch, but yet adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do love you, Renee. So
Wait, that's
also Renee.
Oh, wow. Okay. I feel like there's a theme here.
And then the other one, interestingly enough, was Miranda Hobbs' character. And
who's not Renee Zellweger.
Renee Zellweger, Cynthia Nixon. And I really felt like, when I would watch her, sometimes I get aggravated, but I think it's because there was parts of me that related to her. Like always working, not really ever making room for love in her life and keeping men at a distance. That's just been my story. But I have to say this, and I talk a lot about this in the book, is looking back now, especially doing this book, I'm like, it's okay that I had my arm's distance, because I don't believe any of those men were any of the men that I was supposed to spend the rest of my life with.
Right.
So in that case, it was all good, but that really wasn't the reason why I was at a distance. It was brokenness. It was fear. It was, you're not going to hurt me. I'm going to just, so it was the wrong reasons. It was the right thing, but for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful that you're able to share it. Yeah. And I think like what I love about this, it's not just another regurgitated story of trying to grab onto Hollywood. You're bringing redemption. There's redemption, there's healing. It's bringing it back to the Lord.
Yeah.
So how did you guys find, like, what is the healing you guys found in Christ? Like, I know that we're going to walk through to get to there, but how did the Lord bring you to the place where you're no longer this girl?
Well, I think there's parts of us that will sometimes be this girl.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if we're going to be real, there'll be parts of us that maybe might struggle with a little bit of insecurity or neediness. But then the thing is, now we're aware, like, oh, don't do that. Like, sometimes you want to be this way. And it's like, oh, don't do that. Don't say that, So I think it's a little bit of different because we have the Holy Spirit to help us. And maybe if people don't know the Lord, they don't have the Holy Spirit to help, but still there's still that still small voice. I believe in every person that you have that, maybe you call it a moral compass or whatever, where it's like, that's not good. Don't do that. And then you feel icky after you've done it. Like maybe, you're not supposed to say something, you get all mouthy. When you're done, you go, well, that actually didn't feel as good as I thought it was, So in that sense, I feel like there's always going to be a little part of us even that will always be a little bit of the residue of this girl, even though we're working to not want to be this girl. But I mean, really, it's just allowing God, his word, to transform me and to heal me and to strengthen me. And then just showing me who I was, like my identity is in him. And it's in what his word says about me. Like I am chosen, even if you feel like, okay, I've never been married. So it's easy to want to say like, okay, Bridget Jones, I just need to latch onto a man, any man. Then she starts flirting with her boss. Well, no, that's not the man to flirt with, that's not even wisdom. So, but all that to say, the Lord really has helped to heal and strengthen and give the wisdom that's needed. So we talk a little bit about a lot about Proverbs. I think that's one of the wisest books in the Bible. There's so much wisdom. Even if I don't know anything about the Bible, read a proverb a day, and in 1 month you're gonna be like, I feel like I'm so much wiser than I was a month ago.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, I would love to ask one. Actually, she did a really great job with this. You can speak on it, but I also think you do have a redemptive story of marriage.
Yeah.
And you have an amazing husband in your life.
Yes, I do.
So how has that come together? How was it with like having this man of God in your life?
It was quick, actually.
So cute.
It was not what I would have expected. It's not what I thought. It never is the way that you think it's going to happen. And for me, it was, hitting rock bottom 10 or 15 times, because I just didn't learn. I was a little stubborn. I was a little slow. But just hitting that bottom and just saying, I finally said to the Lord, I'm done. Lord, just let me be single. I'm good single. I was in ministry. I was doing a lot, in my work with ministry. And so I was like, let me be single and let me take time to glorify you and do that because this is not working out for me. Yeah. And so I just put my hands up, and then suddenly I met my husband.
You surrendered.
And I was like, okay. And our meeting was kind of comical, actually.
Which he talks about in the book.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, very comical. But yeah, I already knew what I wanted, and I already knew what the Lord was doing for me. But because of all of these relationships and stuff, the Lord never left me. It was me having to say, I know you're there for me. I know that you're the one who gets me out of every situation that I put myself in. And so that was it for me. And then I just kind of let him lead. And, you know, I dated somebody for 12 years on and off.
Wow.
And we knew that it was not right for either one of us, but we stayed in it because we loved each other and we wanted to make it work, and it just didn't work. But yeah, my husband and I got married a year to the day after we met each other.
I mean, I think that's like actually really encouraging, because a lot of, and I think your guys' courage to share these stories are going to speak to so many of us out there, because so many of us are caught up in situations that we really don't want to talk about. Like, how long did it take, you know, for you to get these stories, have the courage? I mean, one of the things I was going to ask you guys, but yeah, we're getting close on time.
Ask away.
Like, when you were in it, did you have the foresight to know that this would help someone one day?
Oh, no. Never.
Yeah.
Because you're just trying to figure out, how am I going to get out of this?
Right.
You're like drowning.
Yeah.
So absolutely not.
Yeah. And then you don't always realize that you're going to even want to tell anybody about it. And I think when you're saying you're in a like a relationship for 12 years on and off, you don't tell everybody. At some point you stop telling, right? Of like, oh, we broke up, or we're back together. Yeah. And I think like so many of us women are really, if our lives were movies, we would be ashamed.
Yeah. 100%.
You know, and I think it's just so courageous of you both to share the story.
Thank you.
And I mean, I don't know. That was the question. How was it? I guess one more question.
Yeah.
How was it when you had to talk to, or did you talk to the people that are mentioned in the book, or how are you feeling with that?
No.
Because it's so like, or your husband like reading it, or knowing about it, or anybody else in your life, because they're personal. How did you guys feel about that?
For me,
because anybody telling a story has to like, how do I write and then tell a story that involves
there's a
else?
way, and praise the Lord that I have a pastor who shares wonderful illustrations all the time about people and situations.
Oh, true.
So that for me was like, oh, I can do this. And the way he does it is so wise. So it's like, in telling my story, our stories really, there was a guy. This reminds me of a relationship I was in, and and then that's it. You know, you tell the story. Now, if it's something more a little pointed, like, you know, my dad passed away. So there's a couple of things where I say, you know, my dad was unfaithful to my mom, and I grew up in a broken home. Well, had he been alive, I would have told him that. But still, there's a lot of honor. I still felt, you know, I was able to share the restoration and the healing that came about, and how, even in talking about the miscarriage, because when I was pregnant and the father of the baby was coming to us and saying, I want you to have an abortion. My dad was like, he had already asked me, Miha, what do you want? And I said, well, I'm going to keep the baby. And he goes, and that's what we do. And that's all that matters, you know? And so even as I was, I'm
listening.
Yeah. So even as I was writing that, I was crying, because I was remembering just like the strength and the courage my dad gave me in that. And so, you know, anyway, just the telling of the story. That the other thing, if I can just share this really quick, is as we were writing the stories, I felt like the Lord brought to mind the stories we needed to tell. And how much we needed to tell. I never was like, oh, I don't want to share that. It was like, it just came naturally, and all that needed to be shared and said was shared and said, and that was it. And we just kept moving on. So later on, when I was reading, I go, oh, I didn't tell that. And Lord was like, because you had asked me. I was like, oh, thank you for that.
That's so good. And that's a lot of faith.
Like, it's just enough information.
Just enough.
Like, that's like the courage to have faith, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I did let my mom know. I said, there's a couple of points, you know, because she, you know, is in the story, and she's like, okay. But I think she knows, and she shared, she has shared her stories as well. So I think other than that, it, you know, when we tell the stories, we're not trying to throw anybody under the bus. It's more about us and how we were this girl.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously we were much younger. So many of us were just younger. Yeah. And you don't know a lot. You think you know a lot but you don't.
Right.
You know, so it was really not on that person, but it was more just on me being this girl in that relationship.
Yeah.
I kind of took the Taylor Swift approach.
What is that?
She writes about all the relationships she's in.
Yeah. It's like
all her songs about her relationships, her breakups, and all that.
And they know, oh, that's about that person.
That approach. Yeah. I didn't say anything. I didn't mention anybody's name. but honey, you're in there.
I love it.
I don't know how much more straightforward that is. I love it. I love that Cyndi was like, well, the Lord guided me. And she's like, Taylor Swift.
This is why we make such a good team, though.
It's a perfect
like
balance.
we had so much fun writing this book. We'd be cracking up.
My poor husband, honestly.
Thank you so much, Kyle.
Kyle, yes. Between coffee and DoorDash and
Can I just make y'all some salmon?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, he makes the best salmon. We
Yeah.
had some good dinners,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so honored to be sitting here with both of you.
Oh,
and
thank you, Brad.
I want you guys to know that no matter what, as we're going forward, the courage continues. And I know it takes a lot to
And
continue
you know
to
that.
have. Yeah, I know. Like to put your soul into a book and pray that it gets into the right hands. And I just want you guys to know out there that this is an opportunity for you to get the healing that you've been looking for.
Yeah.
All of us have felt like that girl. All of us have felt like this girl. And you know, if you're in this, like you may be feeling like you're carrying the burdens of your past, or you're currently in a situation you don't know how to get out. Get this book.
Yeah.
Get this book. Learn from their experiences so that so you can draw close to God. No,
Earthquake.
Wow.
sorry, we're in an
Lord.
earthquake.
Listen,
Get the book. Get the book.
that was a sign.
I was
and a
like,
half
was
right
that because I live by the train track. So at first I thought I was like, no, wait a minute. We're not
I think
that
I
close to
just
the
folded
train.
this book.
Don't get this book.
Don't get this book. I was like,
We do pray that you're all okay.
yes.
Okay.
Now, what
Yeah,
was I saying?
Kat saying, let's wrap it up.
So if
She's got us on schedule.
if you need prayer, email us.
Yes, email
us
us at
anewthing.live@gmail.com.
there you go, girl.
If you are going through anything, if you need prayer, you want direction, you want wisdom, there is someone on the other line who will pray for you.
Amen.
So we're thankful. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, both of you, for being amazing guests.
Thank you. And we're going to pop this one more time on here. Why should somebody get the book?
They should get the book because I got the book.
Yes.
And I'm a believer in this book, and I cannot wait. You're going to get life lessons, learn from on-screen leading ladies that make us cringe. And so don't let your love life be cringy.
Yeah.
No.
Don't let it be cringy. And also, we want to just mention that right now the books are $10.99 on Amazon.
Yes.
Yeah.
For the next 24 hours or until midnight?
Until midnight
on Tuesday.
Tomorrow night. Yeah.
Yes.
Until midnight tomorrow night. So get that $10.99 because after that they're going to bump up to $18.99.
Oh,
Yes.
And so
that's a great deal.
Yeah. So we just wanted to make copies available. Christmas gifts, stocking stuffers, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I would say get them for your nieces, your cousins, your friends. It's a great way, even if you're a believer and some of your loved ones are not. This is a great way to connect with them on a really core level.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to be overly pushy about anything, especially, a lot of us have relationship. We know each other, and it's a really nice way. It's a fun read.
Yeah.
So that you can just give that to someone who, maybe.
This is a good book
for anybody. For all walks of life.
I'm going to enjoy mine.
For every lifestyle, for every people group, this is your go-to book. If you've never set foot in a church, or if you've always, this is your go-to book. It's just enough of everything that I think you're going to love it. It's palatable. You're going to enjoy it, and you're going to learn a lot, and hopefully stop making some of those bad choices. We have this thing that I was on vacation. I found this cute tagline, which was bad choices make good stories. So we added bad choices make good stories. # don't be this girl.
And then you can also go to the website. There's a website. I think they put that in the chat as well. So you can find it on Amazon.
Yes, it's in the chat.
There's Instagram, I believe.
Yeah. And it will be available.
Media.
Yeah, and it will be available in Barnes and Noble and all the Google Reads probably within the next few weeks, closer to Christmas.
Yeah. So share.
Yeah.
Share. Even if you can't buy the book for everybody that you know, share the link. You don't know who might take advantage of it.
That's right. That's right.
You did say Wednesday. You sent me a link that said Wednesday at midnight. So I don't know if it's Tuesday or Wednesday. You told me Wednesday.
Oh, maybe I meant Wednesday at midnight, but Wednesday 12:01,
Which means Tuesday.
which is tomorrow night.
So get it tomorrow.
Just get it tomorrow.
Get it ASAP.
Just get it right now.
And
It's $10.99.
Even if you get it at $18.99, it'll be worth it.
That's right. So wonderful. Well, you guys, thank you so much. Rachel, it was so wonderful
Thank
having
you.
you.
Thank you.
Wasn't she wonderful guest
Yes.
hosting on a New Thing Live and on our first podcast?
Yay,
of
what
Don't
an
Be This
honor.
Girl. Yeah, girl, you're going to be on there too.
I maybe what I can do one day is I'll come back and I'll share one of mine.
Yes.
Yes,
We-
that would be great.
We would love to
Yeah,
do that.
yeah.
We're excited about launching
I don't know if
the
I'm ready yet,
podcast.
so I got to
Okay,
process.
Okay, process. Do what you got to do. Do the work. We talk about doing the work. Do the work. And truly also, friend, so good to have you on. I know we've had
Thank
you on before.
Yes.
And we've had so much fun. We've had Yvette on here as a lifestyle and
Oh,
and
yeah.
fitness and health coach, really. But this was just wonderful. It's a whole new life.
I love being back.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. All right, you guys, we do love you. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to buy our book. Would you go ahead and just screenshot? Yes, everyone is so excited. Screenshot our book, share that book with other people. But more than that, you guys take care. Be on the lookout for the new thing that God has for you. There's something new. He does never want us to be in a rut. And sometimes we go and cycle and cycle and cycle, and we never get out of that. No, but you are meant to get out of that rut.
Yes.
Amen.
So be on the lookout for that new thing. Sometimes you already know what it is and you just don't, but we believe that you have the courage and the strength to do it. So do it and do it today. Don't wait till tomorrow because there's no guarantees for tomorrow. But we do love you. While we're in the Christmas season, have a Merry Christmas. Bye. Thanks for watching. Bye, ladies. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.